Hello, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, landscape designers of all ages, thank you for joining us today. My name is Joe Salemi. I'm with DynaSCAPE Software, and today we're looking at tips and tricks with Patrick DuChene. Now, our theme for this month and throughout April, May, and June is the whole notion of being able to fire on all cylinders and having the tools in your toolbox to be able to do that. And this webinar in particular, we're going to take you through quite a bit of aspects within design and color, so you have those tools to allow you to be firing all cylinders. So I came across something the other day, and I thought this was pretty funny, especially in our area. We've had some pretty warm weather, but yesterday and today we've actually had some snow. So just as you think spring is getting there, it's not quite. And I like the little note at the bottom where it says, "Please try Florida." Wouldn't we all? Unless you're from there or there now. So just to go over a few things for today. We are recording this webinar, so it will be posted to the DynaSCAPE website following this session. All the questions and answers. So if you do have a question, there is a questions box in the GoToWebinar panel. So please type your questions there. We'll handle all questions at the end of the webinar, and we'll try to get to them all. We reserve some time at the end to get through as much as we possibly can. And we'll send a link to everyone with the recording that'll be posted on the site. So if you don't get to stay with us for the whole thing, or want to be able to check out this webinar later, or any of Patrick's webinars, they'll all be posted on the same page. So today we're covering off multiple ways to change line and text layers, ways to use DynaSCAPE Design's plant schedule to speed up the proposal process, bringing all label text to the foreground in DynaSCAPE Color, making special dynamic template figures, and setting default shadow properties in Color. Now, before I hand this off to Patrick and he gets us going, I just want to make sure that everybody got the notice from our 6.4 update and have done the update. If you haven't, please go and do that. It's available to you as an active subscriber, so go and take advantage of that. Hey, Patrick, are you there?
Yes.
So I'm going to switch you over, and you're going to take us through.
Okay, good. Okay, you see my screen, Joe?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Hi, everybody. I'm not even sure which webinar this is, 6, 7, something like that.
Number 9.
Okay, 9. I want to really work today on speed. And I know I always talk about speed and efficiency, but the more I get busy, the more I'm realizing I need to keep streamlining and I need to keep getting better. And over the last week, I've started using a feature in DynaSCAPE that is such a basic feature I never really utilized a lot of, because I figured, well, I'm quick enough. I'm happy with how quickly I'm doing things. But now that I'm doing this, and it's something I've already showed everybody, it's making me so much faster. I wish I would have been doing this a long time ago. So I want to hit on really key things and a few basic things that I'm still getting questions on that are pretty easy functions. So the first one is just, there are a couple different ways to change layers of a line, and there are different ways of changing layers of text. So here's a line, and here is some text. Okay, so there are two ways of doing this, and this is the great thing about the software. which is there are multiple ways of doing things. So you can adapt to, you can develop, get comfortable with your own way of doing it. So here's the first way. Make sure in your layers, here are your layers, you're on revise. If I want to change these to building, I'm going to click building, and I'm going to click both of those and then right click. That changes it to building layer. If I wanted to change it to walkway, I click walkway. I click both of those. With my left, let me slow down. I'm left clicking and right clicking. And then I'm left clicking and then I'm right clicking. So if you have a drawing that you have, so you have a couple different things. You have like a line here and maybe a line here and a line here. Let's just pretend these are all walkways. And just to make them look a little bit more realistic, let's offset them like 4 feet. Left, right, left, left, right, left, left, right, left. Okay, so how do we know what layer those are? We'll just hold down Control and left click on them, and it says right here it's the base layer. So if you're in a drawing and all you have drawn is one layer line, I could click Control A, highlight everything, go to Revise, and click on Walkway. So you could do Control all at the same time. Or you could change that a different way. You can Control click on it. You can see where it says Walk and Patio, and let's change it to Deck. So I'm going to click Deck and click Apply. And look what happened. That changed. So let me do that again. I'm going to hold down Control first, click on the line. Let's change that over to Building. Click Apply and OK. So that's the two different ways of doing it. So as I was just goofing around with this, I realized there was something that could have saved me a lot of time a while ago, where let's say you're drawing a building, and here's some different lines. Here's this line, and let's say you have a window, then you have a wall again, but you accidentally, you forget to make that window that right there. It's supposed to be this kind of line, isn't it? Right? Not hollow, but not filled. Instead of deleting the line and redrawing, instead of having to do all this surgery and going back in and doing this, you can go like this. Hold down Control, go on the line, click Filled, and click Apply. And look what we just did. Let me click Cancel and do it again. Control, click on that line, and click Filled, and click Apply. So I just took this line and took the inside out of it, rather than having to go and delete it and redraw the line. So this is something that we still get questions on. How can I change the layer of the line without deleting it and drawing it in a new layer? So that's how you do that. The next is multiple ways to design, to use DynaSCAPE Design plant schedule to speed up the proposal process. Okay, this is what I've been doing the last week that has made me so much faster. And it's so basic. I'm kicking myself for not doing this sooner. So let's open up a drawing. Webinar, labeling. Okay, here's a drawing. Everything is grouped, so when I label, I'm getting all of my counts. Now, this drawing was done in version 6.4, which allows me to do something really, really cool. Watch this. See this little tool? This is the Uncluster tool. Uncluster figures. I'm going to click it. I'm going to left click and right click, and check this out. They're ungrouped. I don't have to explode. I don't have to do anything. This is one of the updates. So I had somebody email me the other day asking me, is there any way that I can ungroup figures without exploding them? And I said, yes. Are you running 6.4? And he said, no. I said, do the update, look at this little tool, and do this. And it's a great tool. So update, it's a big, big update. Okay, so let's go back, let's undo that. Now, remember me going over this in a previous webinar, setting up your favorites library, adding your own plants, putting in your sizes, putting in your prices. So this is the laptop that I don't use for work, not production. So I just kind of use this to travel. So I don't have my big library on here, but I did make some of these to show you for the webinar. So here's Liriope, number 1, $5. I have it labeled as a perennial. This is the picture I like to use in my plant packet. Same with Emerald Green Arborvitae, 5-6 footer. I just threw $55 on there. Shrub, yada yada. Green Velvet Boxwood, 18 to 24 inch. So I am assigning a size. I'm assigning a price. I can change the custom picture. This is the library I like to use. All the pictures for certain plants, and it's a shrub. So let's do some quick labeling in my favorites. So here's my emerald greens. So let's make all of those emerald green arborvitae. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit about some Liriope in front of the wall. So let's go to Liriope. Click go. Click on the Liriope. Drag this out and bring this over. And actually, I want to have guidelines because I can't stand labeling without guidelines. Okay, and actually that needs to come over here, because I'm going to need that room. So let's move this over and run this back. Okay. All right. Now we're evened up. So this, how about let's make that a knockout rose. So let's do this one here. Let's do, how about some moonbeam coreopsis? Let's put those here, there, run these here, and we'll do one more. How about, did I do green velvets? Nope, I didn't do those yet. So let's put the green velvets down here, and let's do an Okami cherry. So this is really cool because look at this. In the plant list, I have Okami cherry, but I have 2 different sizes. You can do 3 to 3.5 with different prices. So you can label right out of this and assign the size that you want to use. So let's click go here. And I kind of goofed this up. I wasn't going to label this tree because it's existing, but let's just squeeze this in anyway. And that's a big no-no to have that. So the right thing to do in this case then would be get rid of big blue lily turf. Go relabel it and get it somewhere where it's a lot cleaner and less congested. Okay, so we're going to remove our guidelines. I'm going to click Save. And so I can make a really quick plant packet by going File, Export, Plant Picture Catalog. And look, all the pictures that come up are all the ones that I saved as favorites. So I'm not having to go in here and find all the plant images that I want to use. It's already done. So that's number 1. That's great. So if I do this, I'm going to click Finish, Desktop, Plant Packet, click Save. Make sure you have Adobe Reader on your computer. And there's my plant packet very quickly. It's done. No goofing around with Microsoft Word or Photoshop. Don't waste your time on that stuff. Okay, secondly, right here, Word and Excel labels. Click one of those. This is going to ask you, okay, do you want plants and materials on your generated file? or, yeah, plants and materials or plant, whatever. We're just going to do plants, okay? I definitely want the quantity. I don't want to have botanical. I want the size, and I want to do the price because I want to see what all this is going to cost. So I'm going to click export. And so here's my file. This right here, column D, that's part of the update for DynaSCAPE 6.4. It used to only have size and just I think it was the total price. It didn't include the unit price. So this is really nice too. So what this will do is I put the costs of the plants. If you're one who estimates by taking your total price, multiplying it by 3 or 3.5 or 2.7, you could, in your plant labeling area, instead of this variety being $5, you could put 15. So when you create this spreadsheet, it'll say 18 times 15 and whatever that is. So that could give you an installed price for your job. Now, some of the problems with that is we don't know how much labor, we don't know how much of this and that actually goes behind the scenes. However, if you have something like, if you have an estimating system that you manually type things in, at least now you have a very quick heads-up display of the information that's coming out of your drawing. So now let's take it a step further. I don't think we really want customers to see this stuff. So let's export this without that information. So let's get rid of the price, or let's get rid of the, price. So let's export it. Now we have the quantity, the names, and the sizes. In my opinion, that's all people need to see. So let's copy this. Well, let's back up. First, we're going to be doing work at the Salemi residence, 211 Frozen Street, Ontario. That's where he lives. Okay, so here's kind of a dummy proposal that's just set up how you would normally type into a proposal. And let's just say we're going to do a front foundation planting. So we're going to remove the existing vegetation. Here's all your proposal text that you would want to kind of tell the story of what's going on in this installation. Now, here's the bottleneck. Now you have to type all the plants in. That's miserable. So why don't we just take this and copy this table and put it right in our proposal. And maybe we'll take this and center this. You can lay this out however you want. But look how fast that was. Well, to me, this was a step that just started to take me way too much time when before I started using DynaSCAPE Manage, when I just had the Excel function. So this is a really, really big help. Imagine a job with a ton of plant material, having to type all that out. And everybody listening to me knows how time-consuming that can be. I want everybody to start doing this now. I mean, how do I say this? I'm very comfortable with my speed in DynaSCAPE Design, but I know that I can always get better. This is one of the functions that has really taken me to the next level. I have customers, when I send them a drawing, they want the takeoffs. So this is awesome for me to just generate for them. So I'm not having to type it up. Normally what I used to do is I would just export this because I wasn't saving these as favorites. Now that I'm saving them as favorites, I'm not typing sizes anymore either. So big saver. If anybody has questions about that, please email us. We will be happy to answer your questions with this. I want everybody doing this. So whenever I see people at trade shows, I'm going to ask you, are you doing it? And if you say no, you're in trouble. Okay? All right. Next, bringing all labels, text labels, to the foreground in color. So let's shut this down. Abandon. Shut this down. Joe, you owe 2851.11, but it'll look really good. Okay. So, template figures. I was working with an incredibly talented designer named Mary in Pennsylvania like 3 months ago. And she is a licensed landscape architect, and she is just one of the most meticulous designers I've ever seen. She's very careful about making sure everything jives and everything fits and all the spatial dynamics work as far as how far the chair needs to move to the edge of the patio and how far behind a diving board the back patio needs to be. So she thought of this idea to make figures that she could use as sheets for drawing. So we worked on actually saving those as custom figures, which I'm going to do in another webinar. It would take too long on this one because you have to set up new libraries. But what I want to show you what she and I did, and I haven't started doing it much, but I think it's a really cool idea. When we're laying out a drawing, we want to make sure that everything is going to fit. So let's open this drawing here, because this one was tough. This is in Staten Island, New York, and the properties are like 45 feet wide, and everybody wants a pool. So there's a lot of things that were going on here that were difficult. And so, for example, this fire pit. How do I ungroup those? I go like this. Click this button. Now they're ungrouped. So let's get these things out of the way, okay? All right. So around a fire pit, you need a certain amount of space for people to either put like an Adirondack chair or to walk around the outside of the fire pit. So I like to have maybe a minimum of 4 feet. So in this fire pit, this is what I would do when I would be doing the drawing. I'd go to my figure library and I would go to fireplaces and I grab myself a fire pit. And if it's like a Techo Block Valencia fire pit, those are something like 48 inches wide. So like 4 feet. I have no idea why I just typed 48 inches instead of just 4 feet. Talk about inefficient. Okay. So here's my 4-foot fire pit. But I want to have 5 feet around that. So I could sit like an Adirondack chair and somebody could walk around this. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to draw a circle in the middle of this. I'm going to draw a 4-foot circle. Okay? And I'm going to sit the circle right here. Now, what probably everybody watching this does is they want to, let's put 5 feet. So we want to see how much 5 feet. Now that's a little much for this, so we had to tighten this up a little bit. So let's go with like 4. Whoops. Zoom in on this circle. Okay, let's offset it 4. Okay, copy that out. All right, so this here is how much room this fire pit requires on a patio. So if somebody wants to put a fire pit up here, it doesn't work. Here, doesn't really work for what we want. So with this fire pit, if I go to my garden furniture and I grab an Adirondack chair, it's going to be a little bit tight here, but we can, that's why I kind of did this, so we could fit some in the corner. Now, why don't we do something where we have these already built for ourselves? This could be great company-wide where we could, let's see, where we just have a standard of design where we want to make sure when we do fire pits, we have a minimum of 4 feet around those. When we do a table, we have a minimum of 4 to 5 feet behind chairs, just so we know that we're designing functional spaces. So why don't we do something like this? Open up a new sheet. Let's do like a 24 by 36, so we can fit a lot in this. And we're going to call this, because we name files every time before we start them, we're going to put this in that folder, desktop, webinar, and we're going to call this spatial, what are we going to call this? Spatial, let's call these spatial figures, okay? It's going to be a new word, spatial figures. So, fire pits. I want to know every time when I'm drawing, I can go grab a fire pit figure really quick. So let's make this a 5 foot wide fire. Let's do 4. 4 foot. Okay. Oh, this thing's tiny here. Okay. Let's draw a 4 foot circle around it. Actually, no. We could just draw an 8 foot circle around it because we want a 4 foot offset. Actually, let's do it the right way to get it perfectly centered. So here's the circle. Here is a 4 foot offset. Here, okay? I'm just going to call this 4 foot fire pit offset, okay? 4 foot fire pit offset. Save. Okay, now, how about we use, let's go to garden furniture, and we like to use this table a lot. Now, maybe this table isn't big enough for you, so you make your own size table. Let's say you're a nursery or a garden center, and you sell a table that is 7 feet long by 3 feet wide. So there's the table you sell. Your chairs are 2 feet by 2 feet. Let's just make it easy, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to make this 1 chair, 2 chairs, 3, 4, well, copy these down so it looks good. There, and then bring this one, and we'll slide this. Okay, this is our table that we sell. We need a certain amount of room behind this to function. So let's do this. How about go to this corner and go down here and draw a box around these. And we want 4 feet to be safe. We're going to offset this 4 foot. Okay? So let's move this down here. And we're going to call this one. Okay, so I don't have to, I want these all organized. So Control T. Let's call this one signature table 4 foot offset. So signature table would maybe be, that's the exact name of this table that we sell. Signature table offset. What would be another one? A diving, oh, what would be another good one? We've got the table, we've got this. Let's go through our, oh, I have one. Fireplaces. Fireplaces. Okay. We like to build this fireplace a lot, right? So let's bring this fireplace down. You can draw your own fireplace to size it exactly the way you build them, but let's have this one, and let's put some furniture in front of that. So we could either float this whole pre-built set like this, or we could maybe throw a couch, we could throw over a love seat, this chair, and let's do a table here and here. And where do we sit the wine? Right there. Okay. Now, you can play with these and make sure you have all the space that you want. between these. I mean, I would probably want a nice 2.5 to 3 feet there. That's perfect. That's fine. You want to be able to walk in front. So make all these areas work. That's a little close. Get this back. Okay. Now, what we have done was we have defined a space. I want to make this a room. Okay? So we could keep this. This is fine. We could keep this as its own room, move this thing down, and let's copy this down, and we'll call this one fireplace and seating. Okay? Apply. All right. Let's save this. So when's this going to be useful? Well, let's go back to that other drawing. If I wanted, let's say I didn't have this fireplace in here. It's not a fireplace, it's a grill. Okay. Here's our patio area. If this customer wanted a fireplace in this corner and we want to know if it fits, why not jump back and forth between this? That's not the right drawing. This, and let's do this. Let's grab this fireplace and click edit and copy and go back in here and then edit and paste right there. And you can see really fast that is probably not going to work. I mean, you can play with this and rotate it. Maybe let's see if we can fudge it by 45ing all this and sliding it over. So, yeah, you could make it work somehow. You just have to eliminate the furniture or something. So this, I think, could be a really helpful tool to even just throw some functional diagram kind of things around. If I wanted to see if I could fit this table and chairs and make this all function with traffic, why don't we edit, copy, and then edit, paste this in? That will work. We could slide this like this, grab the table, grab this box, and I mean, I don't like how that traffic is cut off at the table to the pool. Maybe you slide this thing over here. I don't know. So I think you get, hopefully you understand this concept. So you save this. This is a file that even though you really don't want to be saving files in networks, I mean, you can, but if everybody could have this, this would be a really neat tool so you can do your drawings a little bit quicker or do some concept drawings to see what works and what doesn't. Now, the next webinar, well, maybe not the next one, but in the future, I'm going to show everybody how to actually turn these into figures that you can at least float into drawings that you could, so you're not working out of a file. But this is first step first. Get the concept of using these down, because look how much time this will save me in a drawing. If I was in here and I said, okay, I want to see if a fireplace and some furniture fits. Okay, all we do is this. Watch, time me. Take this, copy, edit, copy, switch files, edit, paste, it's in there. I didn't have to go search for the fireplace. I didn't have to put in the couch, the love seat, the table, the side chairs, whatever. It's already done. So that helps with speed. So if I figure out, yeah, that works, then leave the stuff there. Take out the border, spin it around, and maybe play with things a little bit. So you can do this for all kinds of things, which, one step further, you could do structures. Let's say you do pergolas a lot. So why not do something where you make yourself a pre-created room? We want to put this table under there all the time. And I want to put 4 planters under the, no, we don't, not that size. Let's just put 4 planters all the time. Take this thing, edit it, copy it, and let's put it in our library. So every time we do a pergola with a table and things, like, it's almost, think of this as modular, building a modular house. I mean, you can't, I'm not saying to do cookie cutter drawing. I'm saying if you do things and you start finding yourself doing them repetitively and thinking, man, this stinks. I always am having to put these 4 pots around the outside of this pergola. Make yourself a preset figure and just make it a common practice that when you're working on any drawing, you always have your spatial figure drawing opened at the same time and you switch back and forth. So the last thing is not going to happen because I can't open color. I'll show it in another webinar, but it's the process of saving settings in color so you can have your shadow at the same angle and opacity every time, have your, you can set a default opacity for plants. So what I've done, I always adjust the opacity of my plant material because I don't ever want it fully solid. So I automatically have it coloring at like 70% opacity. I have all my shadows automatically shadowing down to the bottom right corner with a certain opacity. So then what I can do when I color, I could just click on every plant with the same opacity and or same shadow characteristic, and then just go tweak each one. And I'm not setting them up every time. I wish I could show you that now because that's a big time saver. But obviously, I go to meeting things is not like my DynaSCAPE Color. So that's about it for what I have for this webinar.
Hey, Patrick, we have a couple of questions.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I'll take the screen back
and
try and open color and see if that works for you.
Oh, cool.
That might have something to do with screen sharing. And I'll take the screen back and you try and open up color and see if that works.
Okay.
So you let me know
how that works. I can see your screen now.
Yeah, you can.
Mm-hmm.
And you're opening up color now?
Oh. Let me, hold on. No.
Still the same thing?
Yeah, I was just using DynaSCAPE Color a minute ago, so it has something to do with...
Yeah, it's definitely a GoToMeeting thing.
Yeah.
So we do have a number of questions. So I'll give the screen back to you
okay.
to demonstrate.
Yeah, sure.
I thought that by doing that, it might
yeah.
But
oh, well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we do have a couple of questions. And Darlene and Lucy had asked some questions about the difference in the plant labeler. So what's the difference between in my favorites and in my plants? And how do you best use plant labeling, the plant labeling favorites list versus the my plants list? So how do you differentiate what's the best way to go about it?
Here's what my opinion is. In this labeling, there is in my plants. Here's what I would suggest. There's a feature where you can, if I go here and I click, you can bring in like a catalog if it's in the right file, in the right Excel spreadsheet thing, where you can bring in a whole master list of plant material. That's what I would think you would put in my plants. Then you go through there, because if I go to DynaSCAPE.com and I type in crepe in Crepe Myrtle. Okay, I could right-click this and add it to my plant list. So when I go to my plant list, it's there, but it's not in my favorites. So maybe you bring in that catalog and then you go through it. And if this is in my plants, I would go to my plant list here. It's right here. And see this? Then I add it to favorites. So maybe if you have 2 or 3 designers, you could put in a master plant list of what we want to use. And then each designer has their own flair and what they want to use. That's what I would think. So do I have to put them in? I mean, I just do design on my own. So I'm not interacting with somebody else in an office. So I could have them in my plants. Yeah, but I just put them in my favorites just because that's where I put them. You could put them in my plants if you wanted to, but hopefully that's not confusing. But does that make sense?
That makes sense, yeah.
Okay.
And Tom was asking about, so when you were showing the fire pit and the table, the items that you're about to delete right now, those ones, he was asking if there's any clearance figures that are in the system to be able to use.
Clearance figures?
Yeah, so rather than, I can only guess by or assume from his question that you know how you drew a circle around the fire pit and then a square around the dining table. If there are any figures that are figures that go around that, and I know as a product manager of the software that there isn't, and that's just something that you would have to draw around. So just wanted to let Tom know that.
Nothing that I've ever seen has anything where it has the stuff set up.
No.
But like I said, I'm going to show everybody how to do that in a future webinar. It's a little bit of a process, which is why I didn't want to get into it today, but we can build that so you have that.
Yeah. So there was a couple of people that asked some tech support related questions. So I've connected them with our support team. So I appreciate those coming in. We'll get your support issue dealt with. For those that do have active subscriptions, you can contact our support team at support@dynascape.com or 1-800-710-1900 extension 1, and that'll get you right to our support team.
Hey Joe, could I show them one more thing real quick?
Sure.
Okay. How do you update DynaSCAPE Design? Here's how you update DynaSCAPE Design. Can you still see my screen, Joe?
Yeah, so in this case, you've got Windows 8.1.
Yes.
Right? So this is how you would update if you have Windows 8.1.
So if you have Windows 8.1, in your icon list, see where it says check for DynaSCAPE Design Updates. That's where you want to do it. If you have Windows 7, all you do is have a little circular window. When you click it, it brings up the start menu, and you go all programs, then you select DynaSCAPE, then you select DynaSCAPE Design, then you select check for updates. So it's not like Windows updates sometimes, or like I think everybody is so used to Android phones, you look at your phone and something's updating and you didn't even tell it to. And that's not how it works. DynaSCAPE isn't force-feeding updates down your throat.
Yeah,
so you have to manually do that.
Yeah. Thanks for showing that, Patrick. Lucy has one more question, and she's asking if you can show quickly how to add spring bulbs on a planting plan.
Oh boy, Lucy. Spring bulbs on a planting plan. Okay, well, let's make a square bed because those are the easiest. Well, you could just you could get a figure that looks that's heavy. You could do a spring bulb, make it 0.5, make it 0.5, and start making something like this. And then take this and just start bringing this all over. I mean, you could do that, or you could do something like this. Remember this tool where you hold this down? This is your little squiggly polyline. Set this at 1.5, or actually 1.25 is what I've been using. Oh, not on this scale though. You could just really do a nice bed, something like that. That's not a very nice bed. I would do something a little bit more detailed, but, and then just close this off and color it and color. But you could really mass produce these things and then start taking out little chunks so you don't see much skipping pattern. And look at how quickly I'm making a perennial bed. Then if you wanted a count of them, just go up here and group them. And they're all grouped together. See, it's grouping them. So then, let's say you have bulbs saved, but we're going to use Winter Gem. No, we're not, because we don't have that in here yet. We have Green Velvet, Orthea. So there. You know now you need to order 94 bulbs. Hopefully that helps.
Thanks, Patrick. So those are all the questions that we have today. If you need to get a hold of me, I'm the product marketing manager with DynaSCAPE. So the 1-800 number that I gave you out, 1-800-710-1900, extension 279, or jsalemi@dynascape.com. If you have ideas for enhancements or fixes, new features, by all means, please send those in. We definitely take each suggestion seriously and prioritize it. And just so everyone else knows, we offer, through an arrangement with Patrick, where he can come in on site and do an intensive and advanced on site training program with you. And there's definitely more details about that on our website and going to under training and learning about the on site training options that we have. So thank you for joining us today. We will post the recording of this webinar to the website and send out the link to everybody. Thanks so much for joining us, and Patrick, thanks so much for your time today.
You're welcome.
Take care, everybody.